Just formally welcome to our 37th Free Friday Lunch webinar, and please bear in mind that this session is recorded. Today we're talking about the very important topic of supercharging my personal productivity, or just saying it simply, improving my time management. I represent a company called Soldati, Southern African Leadership Development and Training Institute. Just a couple of housekeeping matters. How to handle content? Well, I would suggest you focus on those areas where you believe you've got the most work to do. Please mute unless you ask a question. Please park that for till the end, if you don't mind. I'm an Enneagram 1, so I try to be precise. I'm trying to allow more or less 3 minutes for Q&A. Please mail me if you want to be added to the distribution list. If you have not received this invitation via somebody else and receive it, if you're not receiving it on a frequent basis, also please mail me with future topics. You would appreciate the fact that at topic number 37, I'm starting to run out of topics. This recording will be available before the end of next week on our website, soldati.com. And just a kind request, please. I had a couple of times where people make drawings on the screen. Please don't do that. These recordings are used afterwards for other purposes. Daneline, can you please mute? And Cheryl, you don't mind?
Okay.
There we go. Thank you. If you missed any previous Free Friday Lunch webinars, please go to
Hello.
soldati.com. Daneline, can you please mute? I have muted you. Right. If you've missed any previous Free Friday Lunch webinars, please go to soldati.com under Resources Insights, and you will find all the previous recordings at that link. So, just a disclaimer, I don't have the magic wand. You don't attend one of these sessions and then you're perfect at personal productivity. I'm here to give you hopefully fresh insights and perspectives in the hope that it will pave the way for you to live life differently, better, also in relation to today's topic. I want to invite you to reflect, to think about your life, holding up that proverbial mirror and ask yourself, how am I doing? Where can I improve? Where can I grow? And here's another invitation. To make a difference to this world, in this world, please pay it forward. If you know somebody that's battling with one of the 10 areas that I'm going to share with you today, please share the content with them in the hope that it will also add value to their lives. So you might ask the question, why Hekkie? Why am I presenting this today? Well, I'm an entrepreneur, and just to give you an idea, those are some of the books I've got and have read on the topic of personal productivity or time management. I'm a leadership consultant, and in my space, I sell time. I cannot afford to waste time because then it is to my detriment, so to speak. I want to start off with a quote from Peter Drucker. He said, "Time is the scarcest resource, and unless it is managed, nothing else can be managed." Now let's do the calculation by way of introduction. I made a statement here, and I reflect a bit on this. For every 10 years of your life, you can add another year of productivity gains if you work smarter by 10%. You would have seen the icon on the intro page is work smarter. So effectively what I'm saying is you can manufacture time. You can start your own time manufacturing company, so to speak. Even though intuitively it doesn't make sense that we can manufacture time. But if we work smarter and we apply some of the things I'm going to share with you today, I would like to submit that you can manufacture time. So let's start with the first out of the 10 topics I'm going to cover with you. We'll cover together. Delegating effectively. Andy Stanley said, only do what only you can do. Only do what only you can do. Think about this. You see, the thing is, we all juggle balls in whatever area of our lives, career-wise, family, home, church, hobbies, whatever. But there are two, by way of just illustrating the point, there are two types of balls. We get glass balls and we get rubber balls. The glass balls are the balls that we want to keep close to our chest, which we want to cherish. The really important stuff in our lives, in whatever area of our lives. The rubber balls are things that we can pass on to somebody else. They're not that important. And if we drop that ball, either us or the people that we delegate to, it will bounce back, so to speak. And it's not the end of the world. We can recover from that. So in delegating, I want you to think about what are the glass ball items that I really have to keep, but what are the rubber ball items that I can pass on to somebody else? We don't have time, fortunately, to get into a discussion because I'm trying to limit this to half an hour, and that's my commitment to you. But what kind of message do you send to others if you don't delegate to them? Well, I would think that the first message is that my line manager or supervisor don't want to develop me. And the second one is they don't trust me. Why then don't they give some of the stuff they're busy with, them running around like headless chickens? Why don't they pass some of the stuff on to me? And we can carry on. There's other messages that they might interpret from that as well. Ernest Hemingway said the best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to actually trust them. Take a chance. Let them fail if it's a rubbable item. We will be able to recover and through that have learned something. Us and the person that works for us. And you see, there's no excuse because at this point you might say to me, but Hekkie, I don't have people reporting to you, or to me rather. I read this book a couple of years ago. The audio book is available if you're interested. And in summary, Keith Ferrazzi says this. He says you can delegate without having someone reporting to you, also by relying on your networks. So the thing is, we need to reframe how we think about delegation and delegating. I want to talk to you about the ultimate productivity. And intuitively, once again, we're saying it's multitasking. Think to yourself, does it work? Multitasking doesn't work. You can go and Google it. You can go and look at proper accredited research as well. It doesn't work. Touching something and leaving it, touching something and leaving it, and you get home at night and your spouse asks you, "How's your day?" And you say, "Oh, so busy, I'm so tired." "Oh, what did you do?" And you think, "I haven't actually completed anything." I would like to suggest to you that you rather practice something like parallelism. You might say to me, "Huh? What's this?" Let me give you an example. My wife gets up at 5:30 in the morning. I get up at 5, especially if I have to visit clients in Midrand and Pretoria, because I hate traffic. Traffic is the ultimate time waster, unless you could do something like an audiobook or like listening to a podcast, of course. So I leave at 6 o'clock. So in order for me to be leaving at 6 o'clock, skipping the traffic, being at my client early and do some work before I have to start, for example, with a coaching session, I get up at 5, I take my shaver downstairs, my electric shaver, close the door so that I don't wake up my wife, and I let a system, the microwave, cook my oats. I let a system, our bean to cup coffee machine, make me coffee while I am in parallel shaving. So why am I putting this under delegation? Because the same principle applies. Delegation is getting a system or a person, also through things like parallelism, while I'm doing something that I'm responsible from start to finish, I'm getting a system and a person to start and finish with something that ultimately I'm accountable for, even if I assign temporary responsibility to somebody that I delegate to, if that makes sense. Number two is to understand that it's acceptable to say no. It's acceptable to say no. Stop being the nice guy or the nice girl. Steve Jobs said it's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important. The point is, my time is not your time. You can't demand my time, especially if it gets to something big. Saying yes to a project before you've actually slept over it and properly thought it through. Because next day you have to say, sorry, I can't do it anymore, even though I committed yesterday. Or you have to keep on saying yes, knowing that you're actually putting yourself in a spot of bother because you can't really handle all the workload. I came across this in preparation for today. No, or saying no, is not negative. It's necessary. This lady, Dr. Funk, I guess you pronounce it as, it's not negative, it's necessary. You might say to me, Hekkie, you've got no idea who my boss is. Regardless, it's not a question of saying no. It's not how you say it, or it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you say to your manager, I would love to do this, but remember, I've got all these other things, and I won't get to that if you ask me to do this new thing. Is that okay? And then they might say, no, rather focus on other stuff, or rather ask somebody else to do this. And here's a reminder for the week. Saying no isn't about closing doors, it's about opening space for what aligns. And the perfect storm to me is if somebody can't say no and they can't delegate, because then they break. Next one I want to talk to you about is prioritizing our tasks, where we should be really focused on, and specifically around urgency and importancy. In his book, Seven Habits, Stephen Covey dedicates a whole chapter to the Eisenhower matrix that gives us four quadrants where we can assign our tasks to or classify our tasks according to. And he's saying, especially if you're in a more senior level position, you should not even worry about the quadrant three stuff. You should delegate it. You should certainly not worry about the quadrant four stuff, which is not urgent, not important. You should only be focusing on the things that are really important. And ideally, yes, you are going to have some things in quadrant one, which is urgent and important, but ideally you don't want to have too many tasks there because that's the headless chicken quadrant, the crisis mode stuff. You get asked to do something by your manager and they say to you, I want it now. You say, oh, hang on just a second. When do you need it by? Actually, to forward it to our CEO. No, I need it tomorrow evening. So what about if I give it to you tomorrow at lunchtime? Is that okay? Otherwise, I need to work throughout the night with my team. Yeah, it's okay. And by doing that, you've negotiated to move that task from quadrant one to quadrant two. That is boxing smartly. Stephen Covey says most of your tasks should be important, yes, because that's the stuff you should be worrying about, but not urgent. He's saying that quadrant two is the heart of effective personal management. And he says also that people that operate mainly in quadrant two, as far as their tasks are concerned, they get the job done. I promise you, I didn't make this up. He says those people know how to say no more and they know how to delegate. And they get to the top with a smile on their dial quicker. Next area out of the 10 I want to talk to you about is procrastination, which is the voluntary, often habitual postponement of tasks despite knowing there will be negative consequences. The first website I got when I scrolled down after this AI overview said this: we procrastinate because we don't have motivation. So if you don't have motivation, that's obviously something you need to work on. And I want to tell you what works for me. If I'm in a meeting, I get 3 calls for argument's sake from clients, I would phone the one that's most difficult. I'll phone him or her back because then I know it's out of the way. And then I know it's only downhill from there. And it gets better. And that might give you some motivation to get to the stuff that you want to avoid, as opposed to phoning the nicest person back first and then postponing to phone that person that's going you know it's going to be a tough call. Number 5, time blocks. This book is on my shelf as well. Great book from Damon Ariades. Tough surname. And in simple terms, he says this. He said a time block is simply reserving time slots during which you work on specific tasks. Everything else that's on your to-do list, you set aside during these periods, or ideally give them their own time blocks or dedicated times. That means I close my emails, I switch off my phone on airplane mode. I tell the people that I work with, please don't bother me for the next hour because I really need to focus on that quadrant 1 or even quadrant 2 item. Especially when it gets to priority items. Laser focus, which is something I'm going to get to a little bit later. Apply time blocks to get maximum productivity. The importance of balance, critical. Where do you spend your time? Can't only spend time on work. If you got a line manager that says, I would love you to only spend your time at work and kill yourself working, find another line manager or find another company to work with, frankly. Because any reasonable, sane line manager will tell you must have balance. Because they know and understand that more balance we've got, the more we recharge our life batteries and the more effective and productive we are at work. If we only spend time at work, think of that balance wheel or wheel of life as a bicycle wheel. We've got the hub in the middle. think of each one of those areas that we point to as spokes, and then the rim is on the outside. Imagine you have to ride a bicycle with a wheel that's only got one spoke, and that is career. It's going to go like this and it's going to break quickly, and that's what's going to happen to your life. So that begs the question, what's the most important thing in your life that you take your precious commodity being time and spend on? Moritz, here's the moment. Please give me a shout, unmute and shout immediately, if only if you can't hear the sound, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. We all have this one life to live. A fleeting shadow amongst all that exists in this vast universe. We have the ability to accomplish anything, truly anything, if we use our time wisely. Is this jar full?
Yes.
And is it full now?
Yes.
And how about now? Is the jar full now?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Now, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things, your family, your friends, your health, and your passions. The pebbles are the other important things, your car, your job, your home. The sand is everything else, it's just the small stuff. Now, if you put the sand into the jar first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the golf balls. And the same is true in life. If you spend all your energy and your time on the small stuff, you won't have time for all the really important things that matter to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Take care of the golf balls first, the really important things. Set your priorities, because everything else is, it's just sand. Yes?
Professor, what does the beer represent?
I'm glad you asked. It goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem to be, there's always room for a couple of beers with a friend.
We're going to talk to you about sample habits, number 7. Especially if you are too busy. We might say, I can't exercise this week, or for the next 3 months actually, because it's budget time, like my wife's going through now. Don't ditch the habit, because it's going to take you months to get it back. Do sample habits. Do a little bit of that. Yesterday morning, instead of doing a 3 or 5K run, I did not have time because my first coaching session started at 7:30, and I went for a quick run. Only 1.18 kilometers, but I still felt good about myself. Brain excreted good hormones, and at least I exercised. Worst case scenario is just take your best friend, which should be your spouse, by the way, not your dog, and your dog just around the block for a walk to exercise. Dealing with emails. Grammarly or Autopilot should be used as a tool. Write your email while you're checking it in one of those tools. You edit it, you read it once, you send it, even if it's to a CEO. Don't procrastinate on it. Those are things that you can do with your inbox. Forward it to somebody else. It's actually their job. Delegate it. Book a meeting to address it. But my point is the following. If I have to ask you how many inbox items, regardless if you've read it or not, how many inbox items do you have? And if that is a measure of your productivity, what does it say about you and me? Don't ask me. But we need to work on it. My point is the following: when we deal with emails, try and deal with it once and get it out of your inbox and dealt with at least 9.5 out of 10 times. Kill double work. That's the message. Number 9, time wasters and distractors. It's important, ladies and gents, we stay focused when we do stuff. We can't be all over the show. It's a beautiful story of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates that were asked at a dinner table. True story. Write down the one word with other people as well, which you can attribute your success to. Guess what both of them wrote? Coincidentally. Maybe not coincidentally. Focus. I have no doubt that I've got a form or I'm somewhere on the spectrum from an ADHD point of view, adult ADHD. But I'm dealing with it without using medicine. If you have to use medicine, that's fine, then you have to. But I am finding that things like mindfulness meditation gets me to focus more, to me be more here and in the now and not getting distracted that quickly. Go and Google it. Try it. Talking about focus, are you focusing on the things that will really take your life and your business forward? What I call the strategic stuff. Or are you focusing mainly on the transactional stuff that actually somebody else can do? And that's not going to move your life or your business forward. Last one I want to chat to you about is automation. And I want to share with you a quick experience. So a month ago, I had a coaching session with one of my coaches, one of my clients, and we spoke about how he's wasting time to manually do stuff in Excel. So I said, but hang on, why don't you go and talk to IT and ask them if they can't do a customized report for you to actually draw all those numbers so that you can more effectively run your stock levels and avoid stock outs or overstock, etc. Coaching session we had early in the week. He came back and he says, I took you up on your proposal and I went and I asked them, you can't believe it, they had this report which we never used. And we were able to address our issue. Instead of taking me hours, it's like press of a button, I've got information. Talking about that, AI. AI is not the enemy. AI we should see as an enabler. Right? How can I use AI to become more productive? Go and Google it in anything that you might want to do. Letting AI do a presentation for you. Or run a review and report that you've got for you. Whatever the case might be. See AI as an enabler, it's not going to go away. Right, in closing, you might ask, Hekkie, where should I start? Well, I would say apply the Pareto principle, 80-20. Pick one of these 10 or any other items that relates to personal productivity where you know you suck, to put it bluntly. And then use these kind of tools and methods, techniques to focus on getting or mastering that area before you go to the next one on the list. Pick one. One proviso though, across all these things, we can be super productive. Sleep 4 hours a night, which shouldn't be the case, by the way, and go and look at our webinar on sleep that we've hosted at some point. You can be super productive, so proud of yourself, and then you never had fun. The golden thread that should be running through all these things is that you still have fun. And that's the thought I want to leave you with almost. Last thought is this. Thomas Edison quote, time is really the only capital that any human being has. All of us, doesn't matter rich, poor, whatever our status is, whatever titles we've got, doesn't matter. And the only thing that we can't afford to lose. Ladies and gents, I hope that assisted in improving your personal productivity. And I also believe that the ultimate time waster is a lack of discipline. And if you register for our next webinar, you will see on the 27th of March, God willing, we will be presenting living a more disciplined life and what that entails. That is the end. Please invite me to join your LinkedIn network. If you wouldn't mind, I'll accept. And on that note, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that you might have. Any questions you might have. Chris, I see that. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, disagreements? I'm 56 this year. I love disagreements because you might change my mind in order to do things differently better. Thanks, Ewald. I see that. Good. Thanks, Christoph. Anybody?
Uh,
Yes,
Hekkie, it's Ewald here. Um, just a comment, something that I experienced a few years ago,
yeah,
and it ties in with the part that you spoke about trust.
yes,
And I was told, and I do it now, okay, but I was told I decided to trust you. The person didn't know me from nowhere, and it said I decided to trust you. If you break that trust, it was your choice.
yeah,
Now it's a complete different spin in everything because it gives you confidence, it gives you that willingness
yeah,
to make sure that you don't disappoint. So, just a
yeah.
comment on that. It's something that I live by today, and I really wish everybody did that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, well, so implicitly saying to somebody, I trust you, and work from that perspective. Nice one. Thanks for that. That's great. Thank you, Walt. Anybody else? We're on 12:30, ladies and gents. I would like to wish you a wonderful weekend. Look after yourselves, and I can't wait to see you again on the 27th of March. Yeah, have a good one. Thank you for joining us.